What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the gaming side of the DC slate, right? So the DC slate was announced. We got a lot of projects that are coming over the next little while, but the thing for gaming that was the most important is actually what James Gunn said before he jumped into the project. So I want to focus on that for the purposes of this video, and it's pretty simple, and actually part of this discussion is that more of it wasn't said than what was said. But one thing was, when they're casting, they want continuity. They want that person to be able to jump around. And so what this means for the gaming division, as outright said by him, if you sign on, say, for Superman, for Batman, if that is your thing, well, actually, let's use Batman as an example, right? We have the Batman and Damian Wayne story as a movie. That's the kicking off point for the DC Universe for movies. That Batman will be signing on to voice Batman in the movie, in live action, in animated, as well as in the game. So any future, say, Batman appearances in the games would be played by that individual, and that is the idea and the plan for everybody. It did sound like there is some wiggle room. Sounds like maybe if there's like a perfect fit for like an animated voice and maybe they won't work. It sounded like that, although, I mean, James Gunn outright said, if they do voice work for an animated show, we want them to be able to, play the character, actually be able to play them. So what does that mean for the games? Well, again, one of the more alarming parts, I would say, even though I would say enjoyed and liked what he talked about for the DC slate, was the lack of talk on games. He actually mentioned gaming 2 times in the video, talking about, again, continuity and being able to jump around all of these things. And he mentioned it twice, but he never really went into more detail besides, the actors, and that's pretty much it. So what happens with the gaming? Well, I'm going to be keeping my eye on it over the next couple of days because I hope somebody, looks into it, or maybe IGN does kind of like a feature piece on it. But I would like to know, because it has been a bit strange how he's talked about DC games, right? And the first time he talked about them being telling stories, right, across movies, television, animated, and games. And people were saying, whoa, with games, can we let the games breathe? Can they be their own thing? Now, he's outright said yes, that not all games are going to fall under this. So again, it begs the question of what actually is the plan then? Are you going to have games that quite literally are in the same universe as what they're doing in movies and television? And like definitively, that'll be the case. And you'll have the same actors playing the same roles. Well, what about, and again, you can bring in properties or things that are already happening or future ones. What about Wonder Woman? Like this Wonder Woman game from Monolith, is it going to be the same person? I doubt it. I doubt the person who's voicing Wonder Woman in that game is their Wonder Woman. So I guess based off his own thing, he did say this. Anything that falls outside of it, Joker, the Batman, stuff like that's Elseworld stuff. So are you going to start labeling games? This Wonder Woman game is definitively an Elseworld game, and you're just going to keep going from there. Do you have any studios working on games that are definitively linked to your bigger picture, your bigger universe? What's the plan? Again, I'm not a big fan of limiting the games to anything, right? So the idea that the games have to be tied in, or if that's even the case, right? Now, again, he said no, some of the games can live on their own, but some, not all of them, so some of them are going to be safe, but some of them aren't going to be safe. So the games that aren't quote unquote safe, the ones that are going to be very heavily linked, what, is there any limitations there? Are you not going to let them breathe? Like, the thing with Marvel and with Star Wars, it took Star Wars a little longer to realize it than Marvel did. It's working. Like, the idea of handing out, and we've talked about this so many times on this channel, handing out these properties or just taking pitches and saying, hey, who wants to make a Superman game? Who wants to make a Justice League game? And just accepting those things beyond the studios that you own, because you'll never own enough. You'll never have enough teams. You'll always have to kind of look for outside work. That should be the plan. So limiting them to, hey, who wants to make a Superman game? But keep in mind, the Superman game has to be the exact same. Like, we want it to actually bridge in between our Superman 1 and 2 movie. It's got to fit right in there. Can you do it? Well, now you're limiting them. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case, again, for everything, or I guess even for any of them, right? I'm not saying like that is the criteria for any pitches of these games. but it hasn't really been definitively said. And that's all I want. I want it to be definitively said. I want to know what the future is, not just for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman seems like it escaped, right? It's safe. Even Suicide Squad, those games, well, obviously, clearly Suicide Squad because of Kevin Conroy, and that game was in the works for a long time. You could argue Wonder Woman, but I think that game's been on long enough where they're just going to kind of leave it alone. But like WB Montreal, right? Both the games they're working on, what's the talk on it? Like, what are they allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? Are they going to accept pitches for these games to be in the universe or not in the universe? Like, what's going on? I'd love James Gunn specifically to say these things out loud. So, again, I'll be keeping my eyes open for it. If you guys see anything, of course, you can always let me know on Twitter or on here, anywhere you want to reach me. But, so far, I mean, like, I don't mind the whole acting. If you do a role on TV or movies or whatever, you play that part. You're going to have to get a very versatile actor. I would say right off the bat, I don't know how big of a fan I am of it. I've always been pretty, positive of voice actors. I've always said, hey, there's something that voice acting and actors have that's just flat out different. Sometimes, and we've seen it in some of these horror games of, Supermassive games. Sometimes, these Hollywood celebrities jumping into voiceover work doesn't always work. In fact, it oftentimes fails. Not every time, but it oftentimes fails. So you're really going to have to find somebody that not only can act, can express, with the camera facing them and on, and in costume and all this, but you're also going to have them step into a booth and do that work, which is a different art. It's a different talent. And I don't know that, many people can do it that are in Hollywood. So hopefully they find the right people, and hopefully it doesn't kind of downgrade the games to these are more of the movie tie-in games now, right? We're going to have these actors, we're going to pay them a paycheck, they're going to phone in the performance for the game. Hopefully it's not that, because that would be going backwards by 15 years, and we don't really need that, right? But again, it hasn't really been said, so that's kind of the issue. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.